Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome to another episode of News Dose, where I give you the latest news in video games. And Blizzcon 2019 is quickly arriving, and we know this because there's a lot of leaks and rumors surrounding Blizzard's highly anticipated event. Sounds like we're getting several big new games from a beloved franchise, and there may be drastic changes in another. So we're going to talk about that. Now, we also had another high-profile game release date announced by a different developer, and we got some extra little confirmation for the next Xbox console, so stay tuned for that as well. But let's talk about this Blizzard stuff first. Now, I know there's been some controversy surrounding Blizzard in the last few weeks, but now there's some leaks coming out about some games that is possibly going to show up at BlizzCon 2019, which includes both Diablo 4 and Diablo II Remaster. This is coming from an insider with a pretty good track record as well, with Metro, who leaked the Overwatch character Ashe before BlizzCon last year, so I definitely think this is very believable. Actually, I don't think Diablo 4 showing up is too surprising at all, considering Blizzard said themselves last year that they thought about showing it, but instead only showed the mobile Diablo by the name of Diablo Immortal, which wasn't exactly received too well by the community and brought us the meme, "Is this an April Fool's joke?" So really, I think if they were to skip showing Diablo 4 yet again, I think the backlash would be absolutely monstrous. However, Diablo 2 Remaster is a bit of a surprise here, but a very welcome one. To many people, Diablo 1 and 2 are the best iterations of this franchise, and to see a remaster coming, I think has a lot of potential of selling gangbusters, and we kind of already seen this with World of Warcraft Classic and how successful it was. One of Blizzard's goals was to get people to stop making private servers for World of Warcraft Classic, but the success went far beyond that, and because Diablo is a huge franchise as well, I think a Diablo 2 Remaster will be a big success too. Now, there is a few question marks with this, however, starting with developers on multiple occasions talking about how doing a remaster for Diablo 2 is very difficult. So one thing I must ask is, what does a remaster actually mean? Is this something where they just increase pixel ratio, better frame rate, and few quality of life improvements, or is it going to be more of a remake where they change the art style to fit in with more modern games? If I were to guess, I would say that it probably will be more in line with a remake because they do have to make fundamental changes to the game to make it work based off their interviews in the past. I don't know to what extent though, so I may be reaching there. I also wonder what platforms they will release both Diablo 2 and 4 on at launch, and whether or not it'll be multi-platform considering its success on consoles, especially in the last few years. What do you all think? Will it be multi-platform day one? And let me know in the comments below. Speaking of Blizzard, Diablo isn't the only franchise that had a leak, because Metro also posted some information about Overwatch, and this one is more than just a little surprising and just doesn't sound all that good on paper, unfortunately, or at least the way it's phrased by Metro. And I think it brings up more concern than anything. Metro goes on to say that Overwatch 2 is a thing and that it will be at BlizzCon after a short cinematic with several heroes, and that Overwatch 2 will both be a PvE game as well as PvP. The player versus everyone, based off what we do know, will be something like Left 4 Dead, and who knows, maybe it will get something story related, or maybe they'll stick with the cinematics and comics for that. I'm not really too sure, to be honest. The bigger question is with the next bit of information that Metro talked about, which is that characters will have some kind of leveling system where you can upgrade characters' abilities such as Tracer's Pulse Bomb that will increase her explosion radius, and as of this moment, Metro does not know if this will be in both PvP and PvE. I choose to believe that it will only be in player versus everyone, as having a level up system would be detrimental to the competitive Overwatch experience, which is the heart and soul of Overwatch. The next thing you're probably wondering is, what's happening with the first game? And based off what Metro is saying, this is not an expansion but a full-on sequel, but also believes they will just move the original Overwatch on over to the new platform, which makes the most sense considering they just poured a ton of resources into making Roll Q, and I can't imagine that they would just abandon all of their hard work on all of that. See, and that is the thing I don't like about leaks. Leakers have a tendency of creating far too much hype or a little too much hysteria, and I think because Metro is being vague, it does create a bit of hysteria here. On one side of things, he says it's not an expansion, but then he says they will just move Overwatch onto a new platform, which sounds an awful lot like an expansion. The thing is, while Blizzard may have their issues, they're also really good developers, and things like a level up system, I just don't think it will be in player versus player, and I don't think we'll have to worry about the Overwatch we've all come to know and love. Now, I can definitely see a brand change to Overwatch 2, as well as some PvE game modes, and maybe even some new PvP modes as well. But one other thing he did say was that there will be no new hero announcement at BlizzCon, which is very disappointing to say the least, but that they have all their resources in getting Overwatch 2 out as soon as possible. I guess we won't have to wait too long to see if he's actually right about this, as BlizzCon 2019 is right around the corner. Moving on, another high-profile game did announce a release date, as Starbreeze has officially stated that Payday 3 will be out by 2023, and could even be out as early as 2022. That's still a long ways away, and some people question the financial situation of Starbreeze and whether they make it that long without a big publisher getting involved. We did hear about Payday 3 way back in 2017 when the CEO talked about them developing it, so I'm a bit surprised it's still at least 3 years away, but I also know that Payday 2 was a huge success, so I'd expect a lot of loyal fans to be pretty excited about this one. Hey, if anything, we now know yet another game for next generation. Now, the last thing I want to talk about real quick is that the Xbox One controllers have been confirmed to be forward compatible with the next generation Xbox, and when I say controllers, I mean all Xbox One controllers. I'm pretty sure we actually had heard about this before, but with the Xbox One Elite Controller 2 coming out in November at a $180 price tag, it's nice to have extra confirmation. I actually had the previous Elite controller, and it is a really nice piece of hardware and probably the best controller I've ever owned, or at least in my opinion, other than the rubber grips that was a little prone to bubbling over. Hopefully that's fixed this time around, and now that I know it's forward compatible with next generation, I'll be a little bit more likely to get it. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Peace out.